Hello everyone, my name is Leo with SuperTech. Today we're going to be working on this Xbox One, it's an Xbox Series X that a customer brought to me today. He has basically brought it in because this console, it does look like either it was dropped in some sort of way, but also this HDMI port, and let me go ahead and zoom into this HDMI port here. This HDMI port is in really bad condition. Let me go ahead and zoom in here. As you can see here, this HDMI port for this Xbox Series S is actually Xbox Series X. It's actually broken right there pretty badly. We'll be able to see this even closer once I get under the microscope. But for now, I just wanted to show you real quick before we actually opened up this this console. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and take this console apart. I'm not going to go to the teardown process, as there are several videos out there that actually already show the teardown process. So I'm going to come back to you once I actually have the board here on my desk. Alrighty, so we've got the Xbox Series X board here where the HDMI port is actually located at. Let's go ahead and look underneath this actual HDMI port so that we can get a clearer picture to where exactly the issue is for this console. Alright, I've got my microscope set up now. Let's go ahead and pull it out real quick. And let's go ahead and change scenes and show you exactly where this issue lies. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, so as you can see, this HDMI port definitely needs to get replaced. So we are going to go ahead and remove this HDMI port and of course put in a new one on there. Not sure why, but these HDMI ports for these Xbox Series X, they were made very flimsy, very easy to either break off the board and or break from the inside. Why, I'm not too sure. But what we're going to do is actually go ahead and get this console fixed, or the HDMI port replaced. To do that, of course, we are going to add some low melt solder to this. So before we do that, we're going to add some flux. Hate it when the flux hardens and it becomes really hard to actually press on the flux down. As you can see, I'm actually shaking because the flux is really hard to actually come out. All right, I've got me some low melt solder right over here. And let's go ahead and add this low melt solder to these pins. Oh, I forgot one of the most important tools. Oh man. And that is my fume extractor. It's a cheapy one, but still makes sure that the smoke doesn't come to my face. Alrighty, we got the port out. It took longer than normal to be able to get it out. I think those ground pins, for some reason, were still getting a hold of the actual board itself, which was making it difficult to drop. But good thing is, I don't see any pads at all on the actual pins, so no pads came with it. That's good. We're gonna go ahead and clean the ground holes real quick. We've got our wick here, and of course our hot iron. And let's go ahead and get these ground holes cleaned. Okay, I cleaned everything I could from that side of the board. Let's clean the flux. Flux is actually dry, so let's warm it up. Alright, we got that side cleaned up. Let's go ahead and do this other side real quick. Alrighty, let's clean the ground hose as well as the ground pads towards the back. We're going to have to add a little bit more low melt to this, to the legs right there. We've got the pads cleaned up now. Let's go ahead and clean up the flux. Alright, so we've got the board completely cleaned up now. The actual port section of the port where the HDMI port goes. As you can see, there's no missing pads or anything like that. It's actually really good. We got the bottom portion as well. It's cleaned. So now what we need to do is actually, I'm going to add some solder to this. For these, since there's ground points to these ports, fortunately I have to put the solder on there first. On this board, on the Series X, as well as the Series S, I have to put the solder on here first, because, or else the ground points or pins will not get soldered onto the board itself. So we're gonna add flux. And we're gonna add a regular leaded solder to this board. Alrighty, and just for good measures, we're going to make sure that this is actually going to work. Yes, it is. Before we do that, though, let's go ahead and add some solder to the ground pins over here. First, we're going to add some flux. There we go. Let's go ahead and heat it up. Alright, we've got the port in there. We're going to let it cool off real quick, and then we're going to validate to make sure that it did go in there properly. Actually, let's go ahead and just validate now. Alright, let's check the pins out real quick. The pins are really important. It's one of the most important parts, honestly. And none of the pins are actually soldered on. Alrighty, let's check these pins now. We need to heat up the bottom part a little bit more. I'm doing this off camera for now. There we go. Okay, we got that done. Let's check the pins again. We're going to go over the pins just one last time to make sure that they are seated all the way. Perfect. Let's do the tug test on these pins. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and add some solder at the bottom of the legs or the ground holes. Let's add some flux. Alrighty. Now let's add our solder to this. I've been asked why I actually do this when adding some solder at the bottom. So when I do this, it's because I'm trying to push the solder to go downwards to where it also fills the top portion of the HDMI port legs. That is one of the reasons why I go in a circular motion, is to hopefully some of the solder goes to the other end of the ground holes. Alright, that's done. Let's go ahead and clean this up from the bottom, and then we'll we'll finish the top, and then we're done. We'll put it together and test. Alrighty, we got the bottom cleaned. Let's check the top. We're going to check the ground holes. Ground hole still needs some solder. We're going to add some solder to the ground holes. Legs, we've already done a tug test, but we are going to check continuity on them as well, just to make sure that we don't have any bridges. But before we do that, though, we need to add some solder to these legs here. Alrighty, so we've got all that taken care of. We do need to still check the continuity on the pins, but let's go ahead and clean up all this flux first, though. There we go. Let's check continuity on the actual pins. Alright, we're going to go ahead and check continuity. So we're going to check between each pin. If we got a bridge, we'll hear that. We'll hear a beep. They are good. Let's go ahead and test. We're going to go ahead and test. Put the console together just enough to be able to test and see if we're golden. Let me clean my desk area though. Just like having all this mess. Alrighty, so we went ahead and put the console back together. Plugged in the power cable as well as the HDMI cable. And as you can see, console now is actually displaying like normal. So this console is fully repaired. We're going to go ahead and fully put it back together. Meaning you need to put the top part, put the back plate on, put the remainder of the screws on, and this console will be good to go. Got a couple more consoles I need to repair, but I'll be getting those done tomorrow, sometime in the afternoon after I get off of work. So it's pretty late, really late actually, and I am very exhausted. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call it a night. We got a successful test here with the HDMI tester. Successfully replaced the HDMI port. Customers should not have any issues. They are going to have a 90-day warranty on the HDMI port. I will say, man, working on the Xbox Series X board itself with the HDMI port replacement because of those ground pads that they put up at the very end, and the legs on the HDMI port itself are too short. Makes it difficult to work with, but it's the name of the game. Of course, that's one of the reasons why there's a difference in price. Normally, HDMI port replacements charge about $90 plus tax. For the Series X, it charges $110 plus tax. So, yeah, this console is done. Do me a favor, go ahead and hit the like button. Also, hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate it if you actually did that. It's actually free for you to do that. It does not cost you a penny at all. Basically, just shows that you're supporting the actual channel, and it basically boosts up my how would I put this? It basically it makes me want to upload more videos with certain jobs that I actually do over to my YouTube channel as well, with hopes of possibly being able to entertain and or not just entertain, but educate anyone out there that possibly needs some sort of help. And if anyone needs help or has a question of any sort, and if I have the answer to it, feel free to leave a comment in the section below, and I respond to, I would say, most of every single one of my messages. Like, the only ones I don't respond out are the ones that actually look like they're bots for some odd reason. Like, they misspell nice with NYC. Why I get those, I'm not too sure. But yeah, once again, hit the like button, subscribe button. Don't forget. Thank you very much if you stayed in tune and watched my video up until now. And yeah, I'll be seeing you on my next video. Thanks. Peace.